Okay, so I hope you can hear me, but we'll do our best. So I would love to hear, actually, I have a big curiosity, and I would love to hear, and maybe by, a different sort of introduction, hear from you where you find yourself on your journey, if it's about your birth journey, and if you care to share. If you do not want to, that's fine. But we want to allow time for everyone to share if they want to. Okay? So, and often in situations like this where there's a particular topic that we're looking at around the fire, it is so easy to adapt it to something that may be slightly different than what is asked, and that's perfectly fine. So it could be about your birth journey, it could be about a different sort of journey, and it could be just about your life, and of course, be about your true birth journey. So anyone can start.
I've known really my whole life that I wanted to be a doula and I wanted to be a birth doula and I wanted to hold that sacred space for people. And now I'm standing at the doorway of being ready to be a doula and I'm terrified. I'm so scared whether or not I'm up for the job. There's a lot of fear of inadequacy and am I going to be a deer in the headlights when things get intense? And so I'm really holding myself back right now, and I'd like to not be doing that anymore. So that's why.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go. I haven't known all of my life that I wanted to be a doula until fairly recently. And I find myself in the very beginning, and it's really overwhelming, especially for someone that's constantly afraid of everything. So, and it's the same thing, right? It's just, you're scared because you don't know if you can do it. I feel like I hear when other people speak that already have been in the field, I wonder if I will ever if I will eventually speak in that way with like so much knowledge and like so much to give. And I'm hoping that I can. But right now where I'm at, I don't see it. But I need to, right? Because we need to kind of manifest things into existence. So that's where I'm at, and that's why I'm here. I thought this was great.
Right.
A good start.
Thank you.
I'll go next. Personally, for me, I always known that doulas existed. And when I was pregnant, going through my pregnancies, it was something that I was very interested in learning more about. And then when my daughter was pregnant, and anytime I come across my coworkers or friends who are pregnant, I'm always like very supportive, and they've always told me. Right now, I'm in a point of my life where I'm comfortable being still. I'm comfortable doing nothing, you know. So when my daughter presented this opportunity, I told myself, you know what? I'm being presented a lot of opportunities, and I'm letting them pass me by. So I'm gonna jump into it. You know, I'm just gonna jump into it, and whatever opportunity comes my way, jump into it. And if it's meant to be, it is. And if it's not, at least I didn't just sit still. You know, so that's one thing that I'm willing to let go is being still.
Thank you.
I'll go next. I feel like the journey I'm on right now is one of like, I'm gonna say lack of a better way of explaining it, but I don't think this is the right way to say it, but I feel like I'm crossing a threshold into like real adulthood, like real motherhood. I already have a 9-year-old son, and I had him at such a young age. So going through pregnancy now, and I just got married this year too. Feels like I'm navigating how to be a wife, a mom, and also still be true to who I am and I feel like I guess like the pressures of what other people perceive marriage to be. Like I feel like I have some aunts that are like, husbands are shit. Sorry for cursing, but you know, men cheat, men suck, and then you got to be a mother this way, not this way, or why would you do that? Or and so I'm feeling like I'm trying to navigate it without everyone's like perception of what my journey should be and look like. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at, and having this baby is like, it feels different than having my first. Having my first, I feel like when you're really young, you have really big balls, if you will. Like you're what is it? How do you say, like you're ignorant? You're ignorant, so you're like, I could do anything, and that's what it was. I had my son, and I wasn't scared. I had my son. I breastfed. Like, it was easy, you know. And now now I'm doing this again, and I'm scared. I'm so now I'm like realize all the things that can go wrong. Back then when I was younger, you're so ignorant. You're like, I'm untouchable. Now I'm realizing, no, that's not the case. I'm very touchable, and I'm just like, just trying to navigate this new space in my life where I'm trying to figure out which path is my path, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like I also just crossed your threshold into whatever the next chapter is. I've also felt very akin to what Barney shared. And even just before I crossed through this threshold to this new position I've recently taken, I asked like, oh my gosh, I have no answers. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm super scared. And now that I'm in it, I'm not scared. But I feel like there's a little bit more direction. And I also kind of feel a little ballsy, like, I could do anything. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I don't know enough of the risk factors yet to really, really be scared shitless. But I also feel like it could be done. But I'm really at the point where I'm super excited, and I'm finding myself a value, and I know that this life goes one of these numbers all the time, but I'm just kind of thinking it's going to come, and it's going to be okay, and I will be okay if I can remember who I truly am, and that this doesn't really mean anything about who I am. But also I'm also trying to prepare for when it comes down by surrounding myself with people who can encourage me through the ups and downs and remind me of who I am when I kind of forget sometimes too.
Thank you.
So I guess I am not in any of your shoes. I am not a birth worker. I just come along for the ride every time Kathy says she's doing something.
Come on over.
Love it.
So the transition or the new thing in my life is both of my kids started school this year, and I was a stay-at-home mom, so I've had kids for 8.5 years. That I was their primary caregiver all the time, and now they're both in school, and like, do something else with my life. And I'm just like, I should have been working on this the past 8 years, figuring that out, but I didn't, and still haven't. So, here I am.
Wonderful. Thank you. I feel like I've been a doula for 10 years, and I'm finally at the place just this year where I am ready to say that I won't be taking doula clients because I have quite a heavy class schedule. I feel like maybe I'll go shadow somebody once a year just to keep up with what's going on in the birth world, in the hospitals particularly, and it's funny because it feels to me like I'm helping more people because I have, between 10 and 14 couples at a time in a class, and it's a beautiful thing to walk with one person, and much of what I bring to them is my experience of walking with one person, one couple, and the variety of things that birth asks of us. Both asks of us as parents, and both asks of us as birth workers. And so yeah, I'm sort of feel like it feels sort of funny. Feels a little funny, but I'm going to trust that that thing is still recording. But if it isn't, oh well. Okay, thank you for sharing. I want to explain a tiny bit about the storytelling process. So we're all familiar with stories as humans. Uh, Stories that our friends tell us, stories that we tell ourselves, stories maybe someone read to us when we were little, stories that we heard in maybe church or um, you know, even in school actually. And there's seems to be a story for every reason. And the funny thing about stories is that you can all be sitting around and hear the same story, but maybe something different touches you. And so that's the beauty of this story, this ancient story that's been told many, 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 many times, but each time it says something different. And so I just encourage you to kind of pay attention to what registers with you in your body or in your mind, or something that says to you, it catches your attention. It sometimes can be strong, like, wow, that's me. And other times very subtle. The policy of my fire circles are, you can take what you need and leave the rest. So if there's something that doesn't feel like it fits for you, don't worry. This is not like school, or there's no right way to do this. The only way to do this is each of our ways. And so I'm really, really happy that you're here. I'm going to pass around a jar, and I'd like you to take a stack of Post-it notes. And the Post-it notes are different colors, and they're counted out, and there are 7 in each one. So I'd like you to take, I'd like you to take a pen and one of the Post-it notes.
Thank you.
Did you get 2? So go just put 1 back. They should
yeah,
be.
you got a bit. Here.
Yeah, the way to know if you've got 7 is usually if you have the same color, you don't have 2 different colors, because I counted them out. Is that right? Do you have more than 1? That's okay. Just make sure you're using 7. Okay. Well, it's hard in the dark. Everything takes a little more effort in the dark there. Oh gosh, it feels so good that it's cool, even though there's a hot fire. The air just finally cooled off for the first time. I had no idea it was going to be so hot today. So this story is about an ancient queen who lived in Mesopotamia around the year of 5000 BCE. So many, many, many years ago. Millennia, really. And her name was Inanna. And Inanna and the women of that day were very powerful. Inanna herself was the queen of 7 temples. And the temple was the place where all the community activity went on. So you can imagine for her to manage even just one temple was a lot of responsibility. Inanna came from a royal background, and there were things that she owned that reminded her of where she came from. In similar ways that maybe big or small, we sometimes have reminders of where we came from and who brought us along. Inanna was a mother. She was a friend. She was a wife. And she also went to battle. In those days, women went to battle and participated in activities of war in the same way that the men did. Inanna began to feel restless in her inner self, as if there was something she should be doing, something she's supposed to know or do. And for a while, she just continued her life with this restless feeling, as we do sometimes when something's trying to bubble up. We have our mind that is our logic, and then we have our belly mind, which is filled with feelings and sometimes regrets, sometimes things we don't want to look at, we're not ready to look at, sometimes things we're ashamed of, and definitely things that we fear. We keep them all down here in the belly mind, and it's just far enough away that it feels like we can continue our normal life. And so Inanna finally worked through this uneasiness, and she realized that what was happening was that she was hearing a call to do something. Actually, it was quite a practical call for her, because Inanna was the queen of the upper world. And in those days, like, what is your world, right? So the area of their people, the area of their temples, that was their world. And she was a very high queen. And her sister, Ereshkigal, she was queen of the underworld. And a long, 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 long time ago, Inanna was remembering that she was supposed to go down and trade places with her sister, so that her sister could have a turn where the sun comes up each day and the moon comes up at night. But Ereshkigal lived in a world of mud and wet and darkness and many caves and trails and creatures of the night. Some say that our personalities are similar to these two sisters, that we have parts of us that we're very comfortable showing the world, like the sun being up in the day, and even the moon coming up at night. But there's another part of us that maybe we're more private about. Maybe we don't even speak aloud about it to ourselves. And we keep that kind of pushed down in that place that represents the queendom of Ereshkigal. And much like the sun and the moon, the sun comes up, and when the sun goes down, the moon comes up. We have these two parts of ourselves, and we have these two sisters in our story. So Inanna decided that she needed to get ready. And sometimes in the same way with your process of getting ready for the baby, and your process of, getting ready to figure out how to bring your gift to the birth world. And she began to collect different things. And as I explained to you what Inanna is collecting, and I realize it's a little dark here actually, Deidre, could you turn on the light that's inside that might provide us just a little, I think the one that's at the back, there's two switches, so just turn it on and then stick your head out and I'll tell you. It's on the wall. Is that enough for you to write with?
I think so for me.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Thank you. So as I tell you about the way that Inanna prepared for her journey, I'm going to ask you to write down something each, and I'll explain it as we go. So the first thing that Inanna prepared was her crown. Because she was a queen, her crown was a symbol of power, a symbol of authority, a symbol of the lineage that she came from, of royalty. And possibly a symbol of her pride. And so as you think about yourself and this particular thing you're looking at today, what might represent your crown in your journey? So for example, what color is pride? What color is the thing that gives you confidence? What might be that thing that corresponds to Inanna's crown? Go ahead and write a word down. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody and nobody will see it. As you think about preparing, maybe it's the fear. Maybe what you're wearing as your crown is fear right now. And there's a difference sometimes as I think about Inanna and I think about the pride of her crown. I think about how there's pride and then there's pride. There's like you need a certain amount of pride to step out and do something. And then there's that pride that kind of takes you down. So, and this is the beautiful mystery of most things in life. That mystery of light and shadow. The next thing that Inanna packed was her lapis measuring rod. And Inanna used her lapis measuring rod sometimes to measure all the properties. Sometimes she had to be the measurer of people. And she had to offer judgment or defense for someone who was accused of something. She was in the position of kind of like the parent of this town that she belonged to. And lapis is a beautiful stone that is found in modern day Iraq, which is where Mesopotamia was. And so when you think about yourself and your journey for your second post-it note, what type of measuring are you doing of yourself right now? Sometimes we are the person that sometimes judges us the hardest. How you measure up and how you measure up. The third thing that Inanna packed was her breastplate. And as you know, women went into battle, and the breastplate would protect their heart. And when we think about the journeys that we're making, what is the need to protect our heart? What is the word that would represent your breastplate? And because when you protect your heart, in some ways that's a simple survival skill. And in some ways, when you open your heart, there are opportunities there to mentor others through your honesty, just as you did here, saying what's real for you. What's real for you? That's opening your heart. And so, what might be the thing that is represents your breastplate, and what are you protecting? The other thing that Inanna brought was her birth plan. Ta-da! Very nicely written birth plan on ancient paper. And what kind of plan might you have for your journey as a doula or as a mom the second time around? What is the plan that you see unfolding before you? And what might you name it for the purposes of this story? Some might name it a birth plan. And what does it mean to have a birth plan? And what does it mean to lose it? Because sometimes a birth plan, it's sort of a semblance of control. Even though our bodies sometimes do things differently than what we scheduled on our birth plan. Okay? And so for those of you in birth work, what is your plan? What is your birth work plan? Okay? Jot that down. The next thing that Inanna packed was a beautiful lapis necklace that was given to her by her husband, Musi. And this now moves into the realm of the personal. So for Inanna, perhaps, we don't know for sure. Inanna's not here. But perhaps the fact that their husband gave it to her, it might represent the love that they have for each other. And so when you think about relationships and you think about your journey, what would represent your lapis necklace? What would that be? Perhaps it would be something like someone you hope to help, maybe a person, a relationship. Maybe it is a concern about your relationship with your family. As you go forward, how will this impact your family? Write down something that connects you somehow to the lapis necklace. Also, Inanna had a bracelet. She called it a gold band. So small, it always gets lost. I'm sure, just like we do when we lose our phones. She probably lost that necklace or that bracelet many times. I can't find it. Let's see where they got wrapped up here. Well, we'll do the next best thing. So her lapis, her bracelet was a gold band that was given to her by her mother, who had given her mother from her grandmother, and her mother, and her mother. So it was passed down through the family, and very precious to her. And so once again, we have this precious symbol of relationship, and then we ramp it up. What's something else that you would be very sad to lose if you had to let go of it on your journey toward birth work? Maybe it's the birth work itself, or maybe it's having a certain kind of birth, or maybe it's having situation turn out in just the right way. We live in a society that success is a really strong, heavy word. In some ways, in the same way as Inanna, this could be something connected with your ancestors. So, of course, if she were to lose it, she probably got great power from it. I found it. I said lose it, and I found it. Gold band. Okay. So finally, Inanna had a royal cloak. And also this was a symbol of her leadership, of her royalty. For some doulas, all the things in their bag and the things that they carry are a symbol of their doulaing. For mothers, it's a little more complicated, but sometimes we feel very attached to a certain outcome, as we often do in life. Even knowing that, you don't have to live very long to know that you don't always get your way, right? So, what is that thing that represents this one? So this one is like close to your body, this cloak. And so we can imagine that when we cover ourselves, we can cover ourselves as protection. And we could cover ourselves in imagining, especially Inanna in this cloak, perhaps seeing ourselves as better than others because this is our cloak. Maybe for doulas, this might be certification or numbers of births, 12,999 births. You probably met people like that. It's very important to them to tell you what they have, what they've done. So the cloak could represent, again, the light or the shadow. What are you covering up to be safe? How are you holding yourself in this cloak with others? And so Inanna had a really bestest buddy, and her bestest buddy was named Ninjabur. And Inanna had made up her mind she was going to go to the underworld and she's going to see her sister. I'm not sure she was in a place yet where maybe she would think about apologizing to her for leaving her down there so long. But she was going to go. And that was a big deal. Because actually, the story of those days said that those who go to this place will not return unchanged. So, kind of like when you go into birth, you know that when you come out of it, you're different. And kind of like when you embark on a career and you go into it and you come out of it and you're different. And so Inanna was packing all her things, and Ninchber came over and she said, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm going to the underworld." "What? Are you crazy?" Have you had any of your friends say, "Are you crazy? You're going to be a doula? You're crazy? You're having another baby?" And so she actually got upset because sometimes people went to the underworld and they didn't find their way back. And of course, as a good friend of Inanna's, she's worried about the worst case scenario. And so she said, "Inanna, please, please, please don't go. I don't know what I would do if something happened to you." And Inanna said, I appreciate your friendship. I love you. But I must do this. I must go. But here's what I'll do for you, Ninchber. I'm going to give you a special job. I'm going to go to the underworld, and if I'm not back in 3 days, so the sun comes up and the sun comes up and down and the moon rises 3 times. And if I'm not back in 3 days, I want you to go into the town and beat the drums and tell everyone Inanna is in the underworld and she hasn't come back. Something must be wrong. And if they don't listen, then I want you to go to the 3 fathers, the 3 kings, and ask for help for me. Will you do that for me? And sometimes in birth, mothers will give special tasks to those they're closest to. And it's not an exact translation of what was happening for Inanna, but just to say a mom is concerned about being overwhelmed. And she might say to her friend, will you tell me if you notice that I'm changing too much? Will you tell me if I'm forgetting to take care of myself? And doulas often have a backup doula to be able to have their back like Ninchber, to be able to help them if something comes up unexpected in their life so they're not leaving the mother in a bind. There's many ways in our lives that we can make an assurance and also let people in that care about us. Allow them to help. So Ninchber still did not want Inanna to go, but she was okay with taking on this responsibility. And so Inanna, with all her May, the name of all those things that she presented was actually, it's called the May, M-E, sometimes known as the Meda. And what it is, it's basically that everything that was important to her in her life. So she headed down the trail. She was feeling pretty good. Inanna's a powerful person. We have days like that. And she went and got to the first gate. And the first gate, there was a funny little person there and a funny little door inside the gate. Okay? Little tiny window. This is Inanna. Let me in. She couldn't figure out why the gate was locked. She was used to having the keys to everything. Used to having her way. So she didn't get an answer right away, so she knocked again. The little man opened the window and said, "Who are you?" She said, "I'm Inanna. I am the Queen of Heaven and Earth. Let me in." "One moment, please." The guard's name was Bidu, and he ran down, down, down to his master, his mistress, Ereshkigal. And when he saw her sitting on her throne, he said, my queen, there's someone at the door. She is a mile high, and she's as big as all the earth. And she says her name is Inanna." And Ereshkigal slapped her leg and said, my sister has come to the realm. Bidu, I'm going to have you let her in, but at every single gate, I want you to take something from her. I want her to come in the end, bowed down and naked. Do you understand? Yes, my queen, yes. So off he ran, back up to the gate. He opened the door and he said, "Come in, Inanna." And when she stepped in, he grabbed her crown off her head. "What is this?" she said. She was incensed. Who is treating a queen like this? Who are people to treat us like this sometimes? What are you thinking? Give it back. Inanna, the ways of the underworld are unquestionable. You must obey. So find your post-it note that matches the crown and drop it in the fire. Inanna was pretty shook up, but she also was a very strong woman. She was talking to herself as she was walking down the path. I never expected this. Maybe I made the wrong decision. I am so angry. And she landed at the next gate. This is Inanna. Let me in. Why do you have all these gates anyway? Bidu opens the little tiny door, looks out at her and says, "Who are you?" Inanna began to think, who am I without my crown? He has my crown. Am I still a queen? I am Inanna. I told you at the last gate, I'm Inanna. I'm the Queen of Heaven and Earth. Let me in. Bidu thought about it for a minute, and he looked like he was perusing some papers. She wondered, why are there so many rules here in the underworld? She's used to making the rules, not following the rules. So she stepped through, and Bidu immediately took her lapis rod, the way that she measured her lands, the way that she sometimes measured herself. Find your paper that matches the lapis rod and throw it in the fire. Bidu, you need to get that back to me. That's a very important tool for my job. Like when they won't let you bring something into the hospital, they won't let you use it. And you were counting on it. Peter said, Inanna, Inanna, the ways of the underworld are perfect, and they must not be disputed. So she kept walking. You know she's a smart woman, Inanna. And she kind of figured, how many gates are in this place? She got to the next gate. This would be the gate of her breastplate. Her enthusiasm and her angst was kind of waning. She was confused. What is all this? What is this? Bidu opens the little door. Who are you? I am Inanna. I'm the Queen of Heaven and Earth. And don't take anything from me this time. Come in, Inanna. He opens the door, and as she comes in, he grabs her breastplate. What will cover my heart? What will cover my heart? How will I protect myself? Inanna, Queen of Heaven and Earth, Queen of Seven Temples, strong woman, is feeling afraid. Take the post-it note that matches the breastplate and throw it in the fire. So, without her crown and without her lapis rod, and now without her breastplate, Inanna was feeling discouraged. She was also getting tired. It's hard to journey in the underworld. It's dark. You don't know where you're going. It's so dirty. And where's the sun and the moon anyway? Sometimes we get in places like that where we feel lost. We're not sure. We're not our normal, confident self. It seemed like the next gate was further, but finally she arrived. She was tired. She was doubting herself. Let me in. Bidu opens the little door. Who are you? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I without my crown? Am I still a queen? Who am I without my lapis rod? Do I still have property somewhere? Who am I without my breastplate? How do I protect myself, my heart? Inanna was very confused. Bidu opened the door. He was beginning to feel a little sorry for her. But he noticed she had a plan, birth plan, and he knew enough about queens that the plans they make are important to them. But he took it anyway, because he had his orders, and his queen told him to. Take your birth plan and throw it in the fire. Inanna kept walking, kept walking, kept walking. And she found herself kind of fondling her necklace. She began to think about her family at home, the Moosey, the boys. She began to think deeper thoughts. It was almost like the underworld of her thoughts, the underworld of her psyche was allowing her to sort of try to imagine how she had been as a busy queen. Did she really spend much time telling her family what they meant to her? All these thoughts. And with those thoughts of family in her mind, she came to the next gate. Quieter, more humble Inanna showed up at this gate. It was as if having her articles of power taken away, she discovered a new part of herself. Hi, Inanna here. May I come in? Vito opens the door, as he was prone to do. Who are you? Well, Bidu, I tell you, I don't really know right now. My name is Inanna. I'm sure I was queen of heaven and earth, but frankly, I don't even know what day it is now. I'm dirty. My heart is hurting. Please let me in. Vito opens the door and he snatches Inanna's precious lapis gift from her to music. Inanna just broke down into tears. At some point in our journeys, sometimes nothing says where we're at like a good cry. And cry she did. Bidu was worried. He was following orders, but he had never seen his queen in this condition. He looked at the necklace, almost wanted to give it back, but he feared his queen. He did not want to receive punishment. So Inanna sat down in the mud and just wept and wept and wept. And after a while, she got up. She wasn't sure what was keeping her going. Somehow she knew she had to keep going. Even without answers, even without certainty. The certainty that we so long for. Sometimes you just have to keep going. So we landed at the second to the last gate. Oh, wait. Wait, Inanna says. Did you throw your paper from your relationship paper into the fire? I'm getting soft like Bidu. So Inanna landed at the next gate. And it's very dark. And it's on my arm. There it is, just like my glasses. Okay, so Inanna landed at the next gate. After crying, somehow she felt a little bit better. She's human after all. Hey, Bidu, what are you going to take this time? I mean, let me in. Bidu opens the window. Who are you? Well, I'm human. I figured it out. I'm a human, Inanna. I'm I'm a queen, but I think I've had too much stock in my stuff. And now it seems that I have less stuff. But I don't know. I think somehow I'm going to figure this out. I don't know how. So let me in, okay? They do. Opens the door. And when she reaches out to pull the door open, he pulls off her gold band. And there she was again, just welling up with tears. So Bidu, I love my husband, okay, but this is from my mother, and her mother, and her mother. Please give it back. Bidu said, Inanna, Inanna, Inanna. The ways of the underworld must not be questioned. And so he took her gold band. Whatever was your ancestral post-it note, please throw that in the fire. So Inanna collected her feelings once again, and I have got my necklace stuck. Isn't that sad? Okay. So she's walking. I must be at my sister's pretty soon. My goodness. Where the heck does she live in here? This was a very big gate this time. It had a big clanger on it. And it made her feel good to know that it seemed like she's getting closer. There was something about this gate that was very royal. There was something about this gate that was very much like her sister. And a new feeling came up in Inanna, an anxiety. What's my sister going to say? How will she treat me? What will happen? So she rang the clanker again. Bidu opened the little door. Who are you? I am Inanna. I am the sister of Ereshkigal. I want to see her. Let me in. And so he opened the door, and when he opened the door, he stole off her cloak. And she entered through that gate, completely emptied of all the things she treasured, bent down and naked, just as Ereshkigal had demanded. Please throw your last paper in the fire. So Inanna walked down, and in the distance she could see her sister sitting on the throne. And before she could even open her mouth, before she could say a word, before she could tell her that maybe she was seeing things differently now after having all her power stripped away, before she could say a word, Ereshkigal fixed the eye of death on Inanna, fixed the eye of death on her, and she fell over onto the ground, a green corpse. And Ereshkigal's servants picked her up and hung her on the wall. Meanwhile, in the upper world, Ninjaver was at work. Please, someone help. It's been 3 days. Inanna's in the underworld. I know something terrible has happened to her. Please. But people, as much as they loved their queen Inanna, they just kept on with their business. They just kept doing it. And walking past her, she began to feel a panic. And then she remembered part 2 of what Inanna had asked her. So she went to the first king. Oh, Father, Inanna is in the underworld, and she has been there for 3 days and 3 nights. You must help us. And the first king said, oh, that Inanna, she's always into something. I think she made her bed. She's going to have to sleep in it. Ninchapur was terrifying. So she ran as fast as she could, all the way over to the second king. Oh, Father, she said to the second father, oh, Father, Inanna is in the underworld. She's been there for 3 days and 3 nights. I know something's wrong. She's not back. Oh, that Inanna, she's also full of herself, that Inanna. So just let her be full of herself, whatever's going on down there. I'm not going over there. Nobody goes to that place and comes back unchanged. And Ninchapur was now in a complete fury and terror, holy terror. She couldn't imagine if they weren't going to help. What could she do? So she went to the third king, and his name was Father Enlil. Father Enlil, Inanna is in the underworld. She went to see her sister. It's been 3 days and 3 nights and she's not back. Please help us. Father Enlil said, what? My daughter, Inanna? Tell me more. So she told him the whole story. Inanna had taken the May, and she had packed it. She was going to see her sister, and she told me to come to you. In the meantime, he's listening to her story, and he's just kind of cleaning out his nails with his fingernails. At least he was listening. That's more than the other 2 did. Finally, he said, I've been to that place, and I have returned. And beneath my nails, I have some of the dirt from crawling out of the underworld. It is a hard place to go. And so then he formed 2 little creatures from the dirt underneath his nails, from the dirt from the underworld, from the underworld journey that he himself had made and had returned. And one little creature was called the Kugura, and the other creature was called the Galator. And he said, I want you to go like the wind. I want you to run down to the underworld and go under every gate. Do not let Biddu see you. And just keep running. And when you get there, you will see Queen Erishkigal in the throes of labor. You will see her moaning and groaning. And she will say, oh, my back. And when she says that, I want you to say, oh, your back. And then she will say, oh, my liver. And then you say, oh, my liver, your liver. And in this way, she will be comforted, having you with her in her pain. And then she will want to give you a gift. And she will ask you if you want fields in the underworld, if you want lakes, if you want mountains, if you want all of her property there. She will offer you many things. And I want you to say no. No, we do not wish that. No. And finally, she will say, who are you who has come to comfort me in my labor? And what can I give you to reward you? And when she says that, I want you to say, I want the body of Inanna. I want you to point to it. It's hanging on a wall. And then when they take her body off the wall, I want you to feed her the food of life, and you to feed her the water of life. And when you do, she will arise again. Do you understand me? Yes, yes, Master. So those little tiny creatures ran down, 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 under the first gate, second gate, watching all along the way and seeing the beautiful May, the beautiful Meda of Inanna just dropped on the ground by these gates where they were stolen from her. Finally, they landed in the chamber of Queen Ereshkigal. And it was true. She was moaning and groaning. Oh, my back, my back. Oh, your back, your back. Oh, my liver, my liver. Oh, your liver, your liver. In her mind, she was saying, who are these little creatures? And why are they here? But for a while, her labor continued, and they echoed that she was experiencing pain in many parts of her body. Somehow, them saying and repeating and seeing and hearing what she was going through helped her. And so she said, who are you, and how have you come to be here to help me in my moment of need? And they didn't answer. Well, let me reward you. I have wheat fields. I will give you all my wheat fields. We do not wish that. Okay, I have, well, property is running pretty high these days. You want cash? We do not wish it. She named many other things, and finally she said, well, you know, you have helped me so much. Tell me, you choose. What do you want? We want that. We want her. And they pointed to the green, dead body of Inanna hanging on the wall. And she said, you want that? We want that. And so she said, okay, put it down, put it down on the ground. I don't know why they want it, but they really helped me today, and I wish to reward them. And so the little Kugara gave Inanna the food of life, and the Galatur gave her the water of life. And just as King Enlil had said, she rose and became alive again. And so they began the journey together with her two little friends as her support. And they started walking up, up, up. The gates were all unlocked now. Nobody was there trying to keep her from going home. But she was exhausted. And so it took her some time. Sometimes they would lay to rest under a tree. And along the way they would see, there's my necklace, which she picked up and carried with her. There's my breastplate. But maybe I don't need to hold my heart so close. Maybe I can use my words better. So she left it back. And so on. She kept trying on the old ways, seeing what fit and what didn't. And in the end, she only came up with two things. The beautiful gift from Dumuzi, the lapis necklace, and her ancestral gold band. Even her cloak she left behind, as she thought, well, maybe another person might need it here. I can get another. And so they say that it takes 2 years to make the journey back. And Inanna had a lot of time to think about things. And it was said in the land that when Inanna returned after going through this ordeal, after having to let go of things that were important to her, after not being able to have the power and the authority that she had long been used to, it was said that she came back a different person, just exactly as the tale had said. And bit by bit, she began to figure out what she had learned from this experience and how it made her a better person. And now it's time for you to feed the story. I'm going to give each of you a rose to throw in the fire when you're ready to share. And so the signal will be, oops, did it stay together? Oh, good. The signal will be that when you're ready to share, you throw your rose in the fire. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know my own strength. Some of them are pretty, they're kind of letting go of the petals. If you end up with just a stem, just let me know, I'll throw you another. So the way we feed the story is that we think about what touched us and brought meaning to our own life. And there are no right or wrong answers. The beautiful thing about feeding the story is that sometimes what someone says can often be exactly the thing you need to hear. So
Me, I can wonder what's behind the door and what it might want from me. Or I can see when I get there and question whether or not the things I'm taking with me are serving me or whether I can leave them behind.
do you have an example?
I think for me in my life, I'm so afraid that I'm not going to be enough. I'm so afraid that I'm not going to show up in the way that people need me to. But the reality is I keep looking outside for these answers and for that validation, but it's here. And in serving others, I have to remember I'm also serving myself. And I can't be focused on making everybody else happy as much as I'd like to. I have to just be serving myself and hope that the universe
not.
Yeah, and so no matter how long you do the work, the questions will always slip up again. You know, it's like we all have that doubt. Will we be enough? No matter how long you're a doula, no matter how long you're a mother, we have no guarantee. So we offer our best, and that's all we can do. Thank you. I had a lot of passion for Inanna this time around. I like the longer I live, the more I realize how hard life can be at times. And to know that in myself helps me to be more caring and sensitive to others. And so in a way that pain comes as a gift in my way of thinking. Thank you. Woo, that was cool. Don't set the house on fire, honey. So yeah, I was just cued into the idea of compassion, and I think that the ticket to get compassion is to know pain. And so I was thinking about Inanna covering herself up so closely. Maybe she didn't feel the pain before, or when she felt the pain, of course that they would see her differently. Of course they would see her differently. Because she probably listened just a little better. She probably took just a little more time with people. Because she knew something that she didn't know before.
For me, I'm sorry. You want to go first?
No, Mom.
For me, what I took from this story was the way it symbolizes to me, I guess, is her perseverance and her commitment, because I feel that she was confident knowing that she can make it there at whatever cost. And although it was hard for her to let go of all these things, at the end she picked up what she needed, and even though it was going to be a long journey back, she believed in herself. And I think that for me, that's something that I need to pay more attention to, for myself.
Thank you.
The thing that really stood out to me were the 7 things she had to give away, and the 3 kids. And I think it's because I'm so scared of messing up, and I'm so scared of making like the wrong decision, that I'm like not like it makes passing that gate, because I'm gonna pass it. I have to. There's no turning back. And it makes it harder if I'm just like holding on to everything. Like, no, I don't want to give this up, or I don't want to lose that part, or what would I look like without this? I don't even want to think that. And in her story, as she gave everything away, I'm like realizing I'm starting to, well, maybe I didn't really need that. Well, maybe I'm still Yahira at the end of all of this, even without those things. Like, I will still be okay, and I will still find my way back in some different way, not a bad way, because I lost these things, but just in a different way, and it's gonna be okay. And the Three Kings stood out to me too, because I feel like for me, that symbolized everyone's need to express their perception of my life and what my journey should look like. And it's like the first two kings were so negative, and I feel like a lot of us, and I know I do, run into a lot of people that are like, why would you have another baby? Why would you get married so young? You can't do this. You're gonna see it's gonna end badly, just like it ended badly for me. And you get to the third king who is willing to help, and it's like, yeah, it's so easy to focus on all the people saying you can't. Oh, this happened to me. This is my negative story, and you're like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. Maybe they're right. Maybe maybe I'm the stupid one, And then you get to that third king, or symbolically speaking, the people that are there for you and do want to support you in your journey, that are like, you can do this, and like, I will help you, and I will give you a seed of knowledge, or these two creatures, like my advice for you so you can see that you can, if you want to move forward, that you can, and you will, and that everything will be okay, despite losing these things, So that's what it kind of stood out to for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, for me, the story hit on a more personal level. Outside of being, well, no, it kind of has to do with being a doula, but I feel like a month ago I had to make a really tough decision in my life, and thought maybe I had to choose, right? But, go the doula route, put some things behind, do both.
Yeah.
But the way I viewed it, especially because I feel like, I died, got brought back. Is that at the end she comes out with the two things I thought I lost. And although the journey's 2 years, at the end of the journey, she's still going to make it different, but she'll make it, and she'll still be queen. So I feel like maybe that's, for me, I took it as a sign, like, hey, you know what, it's okay to start over, and you'll be okay. And at the end, who knew? I thought I was throwing away, like, I didn't want to throw away some of those papers.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, no, don't jinx me. But, to know that those two pieces of paper that meant they were the hardest to throw in the fire were the ones that were saved at the end. So that's pretty interesting. I like the story.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, it's hard to let go.
Yeah. I almost wanted to scribble the sheet before I threw it, but I'm glad I trusted in it.
Yeah.
So the part of the story that is always good to remember is that the journey takes time. I can be very impatient, and I want answers, and I want the change and the transformation to happen today. Like right now, I just want clarity and to evolve and be a better human being right now because I read this book or I saw this story or whatever it is. And whenever I get impatient, I remember 3 years. It's not the 3 days that it takes me to learn something. This is 2 years it's going to take to actually incorporate and figure out how to make that work in your life. Like, that's the journey, the 2 years up to the upper world.
Yeah. Thank you.
This time the story resonated also very personally, and some things that have already been shared are also very resonating to me. I found myself as I was writing my 7 May down, it more related to relationships and wanting to be a better friend or better person in relationships, the things that I thought that were protecting me are really creating more separation and creating more misunderstanding and so many things. I thought, this is how I operate. This is who I am. But who are you without those things? What is going to be what will be fruitful without those things? And I found when I was coming up with Inanna, like the things that I sit down, they aren't serving me. And what they're really doing is trying to protect me from the fear of what could happen, which is probably a good thing. It's what I really, really want, what I'm afraid to want, because at some juncture, at some level, maybe I don't deserve those things or deserve that in the way that I truly want it. So I'm already creating a separation from myself because of it. And I'm still asking these questions because I don't know what's going on. But I know that again, it takes time to integrate, and that I don't. If I really want to be more, not necessarily in control of the narrative, but really more surrendering of the process, I do have to let those things go and not like this, but really, with that nice open hand to receive back the thing that I most deeply long for, which is wanting to be truly known and truly seen. And that's not going to happen without a measure of pain, so that you can really resonate and truly see and truly know others as well.
I'd like you to take, actually, do you mind, Deidre, passing, giving each person a candle? So kind of the last piece of our journey tonight in exploring So we're going to just take a quiet minute holding onto our candles. And I'd like you to think of one small step you can take this week to implement whatever lesson you feel like you're being asked through the story. So one small step. One small step can even just be the consciousness or even the willingness. Okay, so a step is willingness. Also, sometimes we're not willing, and that's okay too. It's honest, right? It's honest. So sometimes the desire to want to be willing is also a step. Okay? But for you to get the most out of it, really try to think about what is the thing that is going to help you to keep going this week if you do this one small step. And if you're not really clear, if you have a question at this point, now would be the time to bring it up, because you don't want to sort of, just throw out anything. You want to wait for the thing that is going to be, sort of like move you. Like that's your payoff, right? That's like, okay, that's a map, a tiny little map for this week. And could be, you never know, but could be, when you look back on your journey, a very important step. Is that a dragonfly?
It's a mom.
Oh, it's a mom. My godson died this day many years ago, and his mom sees dragonflies a lot, and makes her aware of his presence. And I was talking to her on Facebook, and I said I was really disappointed. I'm his godmother. That one of his basketball games, and I was really wanting to go, and I don't know what came up, but I didn't go. It's not that I didn't want to go, but I couldn't work it out, and after he died, I thought, oh man, I can't get that back, you know. And so I said, so Facebook, you have a thread, right? So I said, I'm sad about that. Then the next thread I wrote was, I'm certain I'm going to see him now that I've expressed this. And sure enough, today, this blue dragonfly, I don't ever see dragonflies here. We have a lot of butterflies, but not dragonflies. And it came straight toward me. And then it went like crazy all over the yard. And I said, oh, John, you're showing me your moves.
Yeah.
Your basketball moves. And so I immediately called his mom and talked to her about it. But so I was thinking, do dragonflies fly at night? Because maybe it came back. Yeah, you never know. Okay, so does everybody have something, or does anybody have a question before we go? Before we continue this closing ritual? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to light mine in the fire, and then I'm going to pass it on to you, and you'll light your candle from my candle, and you'll say your thing, and we'll go around the circle. Okay? So, you have a question?
No, I think I understand it. That I'm supposed to the lesson that I grabbed from the story.
Yeah.
And something that I could do this week to implement that lesson.
One small step.
Okay.
Okay. Such a hot fire. Oh, such a hot fire. I'm relying on you.
Do I pass her both candles when I pass it around?
No, you just light the next person's candle from yours.
I see.
Oh, I'm a pyroman. I'm pyroman.
I know.
I'm a book. You know what I am. You know what I am.
A little bit different from burning other things.
I think it's. Do I have the matches?
I think, weren't they upstairs? I thought they were upstairs.
Oh, perfection. Thank you. Oh, let there be light. So I think this week I can try to be conscious if I'm trying to hold my heart too closely and discover what that means and what the cost is in my life.
I think this week I need to be a little bit less controlling about the things that happen outside of my control and not let that affect me so much.
This week I need to remind myself that I don't need to have all the answers right now, and that it's okay to take time to reflect and to think before moving in a direction that I might regret because I didn't take my time. This week I'm going to make the call I've been ready.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm going to make the phone call I've been ready.
Okay. That sounds like a big step.
Yeah, big time.
If you feel ready.
This week, I am going to spend some time with myself and really examine the validity of a lot of my excuses that I make for myself and see where that goes.
Okay.
This week, I am going to do some communication and listening more than talking because I tend to talk a lot and not listen too much. So I'm gonna
this week I want to continue to remind myself that I am not just the sum of the places I failed, but I also deserve to remember how worthy I am despite those, and that I always have the power to try again and remember I can do better the next time.
Okay, so before your candle goes out, I'd just like you to close your eyes. Invite you to close your eyes and just take a deep breath for everyone here, and sending just positive intention for everyone here. And you can keep your candle if you like. Mine, it melted on my hands, so I have it all over me. These are not supposed to melt, but I think I put it in the fire so many times. So I am now going to get some carrot cake cupcakes and put on the tea water. So if you need to go, I understand. If you'd like to stay for a dessert and tea, I would love to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Are there raisins?
They're Trader Joe's, so I'll take the first bite. How's that? Had I made had I made them, I would be able to tell you, but you know, I had to do the next best thing, Shari.
Yes, you're my kind of girl.
Okay, right. So let's put on a couple more logs here, and could somebody bring the tea kettle over and see if it has enough water in it? If it doesn't, maybe put some water in it. And I don't know what happened with this. But don't know why.